Hi, and welcome to the director's commentary for this episode of the Talent Factory. I'm going to take you through the sort of design process of the episodes of the movies, a little bit behind the scenes action. So here I am, sort of setting the scene for the movie, what we're expecting today. The main character here, Loki, is panicking about sort of losing players to some of the big clubs on transfer deadline day. Now he's just building up the sort of story in the background. Here's some of the previous movies that we've done and what sort of game performances we've done. And then moving on to obviously the big thread of this movie, which is the Europa League. Will he qualify? So he's talking about that now, building up the anticipation for the game. So this is him the main character picking the team for this massive game, whilst also in the back of his head, that sort of secondary story thread of whether we're going to lose all our players. So moving on to the game itself, I took some big decisions with this game. Obviously, you know, you can have your classic back and forth, but I thought when I was writing the script, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So obviously this is a big important game by two equally matched teams. So I wanted to subvert the audience's expectations and do something a little bit different here. So we start off early. We want some sort of laying down the foundations of what this game's going to be with an early chance. So I'm really happy with how that scene played out there. Obviously, as you see, the main character's really building into this. Sometimes he talks a little bit too much, but you know, we have a script, but we let the actors ad-lib as well, of course. So here we go early on in the first half, another chance building. It's like, okay, this team, they look like a better team than the others. They're having chances. You know, what's going to come next? And that is a goal from a corner. Obviously, in previous movies we've not really seen many goals from corners, so I thought that would be a nice surprise for the audience there. Straight away, I thought the audience would not be, they would have just sort of, you know, calmed down from that first goal. And then rather than maybe have a comeback goal or just a quiet period, we'd hit them with the sort of second whammy. Really pleased with how that went. And then I'm not sure with the design of this if I went too far. Maybe the third goal in the first act is, I don't know, maybe it takes away from the rest of the second act and everything. It's a design choice that I made, and I stick with it. I don't think I'd change it if I could go back into the editing room. And then we move on to late in the second act here, where we're comfortably up now. So I think what the fans were maybe hoping for is like a goal from them. Always this a comeback. You're never really going to know which way it is. But what we've done is just sort of essentially finish it off here. And I think that gives the audience a time to sort of sit down and just enjoy it rather than worrying what the result will be. So I'm quite happy with this here. As you can see, Loki's really, really hamming it up here for the fifth goal. But yeah, something a bit different. I think we could have gone easy with this and just made it a 2-2 or a 3-2, something much closer. But we decided to go with something different. I don't think it's really sort of been seen in Hollywood before, going that big. But I know it will upset some of the fans. Some of the fans like the closer performances, like the closer games. So then we are just sort of Loki there, the main character, celebrating his achievement of qualifying for the knockout stages of the Europa League. Bit of ad-libbing here. I'm not sure if I liked it, but I left it in. He's a very greedy man, as you can see. He's gobbling up that prize money and immediately goes to the boards to ask for more money. I think that really plays with the character well. We all know that Loki is a famous money grabber, so I think that plays on that. It really works well. I'm really happy with that. A little bit, this is interesting. Ad-lib here from the assistant manager comparing one of my players and saying he'd rather have him than Pedri, which I just left it in. It wasn't in the script, but I thought that was brilliant from the assistant manager. So he's a good character. Maybe we'll see more of him in future movies. Now, second main act of this story is obviously in a very important league game with very tired players. That jeopardy of having those two games close together, I think, really makes it difficult. Like, do you rest players for the first one, etc.? So obviously Loki here is having a hard time picking on his squad. He knows he kind of needs a result really to sort of stay in touch with the leaders of this room. So that's extra jeopardy. Not to mention this thread that's been going through this whole episode of losing players in the end of the transfer window. So here we kick off in this second leg. I don't think it's my best work here. I think I could have done some things different. This is probably the only part of the movie that I would go back in and change. We've got a very dodgy penalty. I like this part. I think this is good. The dodgy penalty is always a fun one because everybody's now on the edge of their seats waiting for the VAR decision here. It never looked like a penalty. Loki is clearly doesn't think it should be a penalty, but obviously wants it because it's his side. So that really plays on both sides there. I really enjoyed that. And obviously scores the penalty, João Costa here. There's one part of the end of this scene that I really, really like. I think it's the big sort of surprise of the act that nobody saw coming, but we'll see that in the second act of this game. So we're moving on into the second act here. Wanted to keep it pretty quiet. Didn't want to have a ton of goals. I think it's important not just to... It's too easy to throw in big explosions and goals into games here. There's Costa getting his second to go 2-0 up away from home. But we know we're playing against a good side, so there's always that extra element of, okay, it's only 2 goals. They could come into it. And what I wanted to do here is just like have it sort of them... Now, essentially, we're in the lead. We're the team that's winning, but it's dangerous. This is the bit I'd probably change. I don't think I'd given the second penalty. I think it's too similar to the first one, and it feels a little bit reused, if you know what I mean. I think it's... I don't know. I struggle with that a little bit. I think we could have had maybe a free kick goal or something in there instead of the penalty. I think that might have worked better, maybe like a long-range free kick. So here's the big twist of the episode coming up here, of the movie, rather, sorry. Just making some tactical changes here. This is all ad-libbed. This is just on the fly. Loki's just doing his thing. I give him free reign, really, in between the main scenes of the movie, just to add stuff in, add a bit of spice. He knows the character inside out, so he can add stuff. But here we go. This is the big twist coming up here. Bam! There it is. No, but I don't think anybody was expecting that. We had a 2-1 game. It was incredibly close. But instead of just going, okay... Or do Sporting get an equaliser? Or do we score another goal? Or do we hang on? Boom. Injury to one of our main players. I don't think any of the audience, when we did the previews to some test audiences, like they were in shock. They was shouting, crying. It worked perfectly. So I was really, really, really happy with that. The game went on to finish 2-1 then. That was the last act. I also injured one of their players just to even things up a little bit. And now we get on to a bit of jeopardy, that thread that we've been weaving this whole episode, which is all our players are getting bids on and whether the board is going to accept that money. The board, I like to think of him not as a goodie or a baddie. He's like this sort of neutral character, so you never know which way he's going to go. And so there was lots of this action going on. Every day there was new bids. The tension is ramping up as the transfer window closes. Add a little bit of extra spice with a bonus game right on deadline day. And then this scene I like to call the Battle of Leipzig. Leipzig, obviously a football team, and they come in for one of our players in particular. And I thought, okay, we'll do the bid. That's fine. They're a big team. That might add a bit of, will the player be upset if we reject it, etc. And as you can see, we're about to do, these are sort of more like build-up bids, really, to the main one that we look at from here from Leipzig. Obviously, Loki immediately rejects that because that's what he wants to do. But no, they're back in. They're back in with a bigger bid. This is where it gets worrying. We've all been in this situation. I wanted to sort of get that real-life thing of, this could be bad. Are they going to keep bidding? And then here I did a little fun twist that you'll see shortly. This is a new signing that we've made because we asked the board for some money. So it allowed us to make a new signing. This guy, I don't know if he's going to be a main character. I think he might just be in it maybe for the next movie or so. I don't think he's going to be here for the whole storyline. But I think he's a good sort of secondary character that could have some moments, but I don't think he's he's going to stick around for too long. So this coming up, I think this is the part here. So Anderlecht come in for a bid. That's just another one. But Leipzig are back in. This is the big worry part. And here's the fun twist. I don't know if Loki's noticed it yet or if it's the next one. I threw this curveball at him. This wasn't in the script at all. I was up late one night and I was thinking, this is genius. Here it is here, look. So he gets another bid here from Leipzig. The Battle of Leipzig continues. And then he notices something. No, it's the next one. Sorry. There's a lot going on. If you just wait a moment and we'll see. I think we've got it in the edit suite here that Leipzig come in again. This is the one. So this is their third or fourth bid now. So he's expecting this bid to be bigger. But what I've cleverly done here is thrown in a curveball where the bid is actually quite a bit smaller than the previous bids. Just because he's very good at ad-libbing, Loki, and good at talking. And I thought this would be a really fun thing to throw at him just to see how he deal with it, just to see if he even noticed, because he's famous for not noticing things as well. So that just confused him. But he rode through it well. I thought he acted really well on it. So finally, at the end of all good movies, you need to do a sort of little wrap-up and tie the movie in a little nice bow. So Loki here is just, again, this is all ad-lib. He's just explaining how this episode went and the fact we didn't lose the tying up the neat thread of the transfer window now. So that's lovely. We had the main storyline of the Europa League and everything, and I'm really happy. On another note, I'm sorry for the fact my microphone wasn't working, and I hope you enjoyed this director's commentary. I actually really enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.